Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa Pradikacharya Ashtotirtha to Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pradikacharya Ashtotirtha to Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Can we open that one and shut that one? I'm practically getting nothing here. No, it's not. Because, through the internet and into the kitchen, we need some more volume. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiriye. Good. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavad-yuttama shloke bhaktim bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 10th day of August 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimadbhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, Chapter 25, the descriptions of the characteristics of King Puranjana, text 24. We have to apologize. Mukunda Charan had an off day. And it's, yeah. This is Bhakti Glenn. So I hope you can see it. If not, you'll be able to hear it anyway. Did I announce what text? Yeah, I did. Okay. Stanav yanjata kaishorao samavrittao nirantarao vastrante nanaguyantim Vidya Gajagaminim Stanav Yanjita Kaishorao Samavrittao Nirantarao Vastrante Nanaguyantim Vidya Gajagaminim Stanav Yanjita Kaishorao Samavrittao nirantarao Vastrante nanaguyantim Vridaya gajagaminim Stanav yanjita kaishorao Samavrittao nirantarao Vastrante ninaguyantim Vidya gajagaminim Stanav yanjita kaishorao Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, bro. Stanav yanjita kaishorao Samavrittao nirantarao Vasrante nanaguyantim Vidya gajagaminim Stanav yanjita kaishorao Samavrittao nirantarao Vastrante nanaguyantim Vidya gajagaminim. Ladies? Stanav yanjita kaishorao Samavrittao nirantarao Vastrante nanaguyantim Vidya gajagaminim. Stanav, breasts. Vyanjita, indicating. Kaishorao, new youth. Samavrittao, equally round. Nirantarao, fixed close side by side. Vastra antena, by the end of the sari. Naguyantim, trying to cover. Vridaya, out of shyness. Gajagaminim, walking just like a great elephant. Translation. So this is Narada Muni continuing the allegory, describing the allegory to King Prachanabarhishat, the allegory of Puranjana. With the end of her sari, the woman was trying to cover her breasts, which were equally round and well placed side by side. She again and again tried to cover them out of shyness, while she walked exactly like a great elephant. Purport. The two breasts represent attachment and envy. The symptoms of raga and dvesha, attachment and envy, are described in the Bhagavad Gita 3:34. Indriyasyendriyasyate ragadvesham vyavastitao tayornavashamagachet tauyasya patipantinao. Attraction and repulsion for sense objects are felt by embodied beings. But one should not fall under the control of the senses and sense objects, because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. And so just to let you know what's going on here, this attachment and envy equal attraction and repulsion. In this context, the word envy means malice, hate, repulsion. Going on. These representatives of attachment and envy are very much unfavorable for advancement in spiritual life. One should not be attracted by the breasts of young women. The great saint Shankaracharya has described the breasts of women, especially young women, as nothing but a combination of muscles and blood. So one should not be attracted by the illusory energy of raised breasts with nipples. They are agents of Maya meant to victimize the opposite sex. Because the breasts are equally attractive, they are described as samavrittau. The sex impulse remains in an old man's heart also, even up to the point of death. To be rid of such agitation, one must be very much advanced in spiritual consciousness, like Yamunacharya, who said, Yadavadi mamacheta Krishna padāravinde navanamanasadhaman yudyatam vrantamāsit tadavadapatanādi sangame smayamane bhavati mukhavikara sushtunishtivanancha. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste. Close quote. When one is spiritually advanced, he can no longer be attracted by the lumps of flesh and blood which are the breasts of young women. The word nirantarao is significant because although the breasts are situated in different locations, the action is the same. We should not make any distinction between attachment and envy, or between attraction and repulsion, two sides of the same coin. As described in the Bhagavad Gita 3:37, they are both products of rajoguna, the mode of passion. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhavaha, which means that this lust, he's answering the question of Arjuna, what is it that forces us to do things that we know are wrong? And the answer is material desire, headed by sex desire, which then is transformed into wrath or anger, and which are born of the mode of passion. The word naguyantim, trying to cover, indicates that even if one is tainted by kama, lobha, greed, krodha, anger, etc., they can be transfigured by Krishna consciousness. In other words, one can utilize kama or lust for serving Krishna. Being impelled by lust, an ordinary worker will work hard day and night. Similarly, a devotee can work hard day and night to satisfy Krishna. Just as karmis are working hard to satisfy kama and krodha, lust and anger, a devotee should work in the same way to satisfy Krishna. Similarly, krodha, anger, can also be used in the service of Krishna when it is applied to the non-devotee demons. Hanumanji applied his anger in this way. He was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, and he utilized his anger to set fire to the kingdom of Ravana, a non-devotee demon. Thus, kama, lust, can be utilized to satisfy Krishna, and krodha, anger, can be utilized to punish the demons. When both are used for Krishna's service, they lose their material significance and become spiritually important. Om jnana timarandrasya jnanandana shalakya chakshu unmidatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So we will leave a little time to hear about Krishna's pastimes, which is what we're doing this run up to Janmashtami, which is tomorrow. So this is the description of Paranjan being attracted to the opposite sex. It's described here that this is his material intelligence. It's interesting, represented by this lady who he meets as he's wandering in the forest. And as we were hearing the classes over the last few days, I thought of this verse about written by Madhavendra Puri and quoted by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami in the 20th or 21st chapter of the Madhya Lila. It's the part where he's teaching about the practice of devotional service. Prabhupada would often quote this verse, Kamadinam katina katita patita dhurnideshas tesham jata mayana kaduna nattapano prashantihi Uttrijayatan hadiyodapate sampratam labdha buddhis tvamayata kshadanamabhyam mam niyung svatmadasye. So this is very pertinent in the context with this verse. So he's praying, he says, I wrote a little poem on this one. In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy, but on I've gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. So the whole key to Krishna consciousness, advancing Krishna consciousness, is purifying and strengthening the intelligence, when you think about it. When we hear, beginning of Krishna consciousness is hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, which then produces chanting and remembrance. That's the foundation. The other processes flow from that. So what happens when we hear? When we hear mundane sounds or read mundane books, which is kind of an internal hearing, then we become more and more conditioned, more and more attracted to things of this world. We're in a sense, we're completely bound up by the modes of nature which are inherent in the sound vibrations. There's this incredible verse by Lord Brahma in the 3rd canto, where he's describing Vaikuntha, and he's saying who goes there and who doesn't go there. So this is the verse about who doesn't get to go to Vaikuntha. Yanna vrajant agabedor vachananavarat chunvanti henya vishaya kukata matigni yastushruta hatabagar nubadata saras tang tang chapanta shadaneshu tamaksuhanta. Very dramatic. He's saying they don't go. They don't get to go. Who give up hearing Krishna Katha, Rachananuvada. Rachanana means Krishna's activities. Words that describe Krishna's activities. Shrinvandiye anya vishaya. They hear other vishaya, and vishaya here means subjects, known as kukata. We know that Krishna Katha or Hari Katha is very auspicious, and just the other is kukata. We're surrounded by it everywhere. Yeah, it's in the internet, it's in the ether. Which matigni, which destroys your intelligence. What happens? Yastu shruta, hearing such vibrations, hata bhagaya, all your good fortune is taken away. And ata saras, the saras is the essence of things. In other words, spiritual life and understanding God and regaining your relationship, all of that, that's the essence, that's what we're looking for. Takes it away. It takes away your very interest in self-realization, God-realization, which is after all the beginning, right? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Your curiosity, your interest, your inquisitiveness into the Brahman is the beginning of spiritual life. That's why we're all sitting here. So it takes it away, it destroys it. And then tang tang chapa, those very subjects, tang tang chapanti, throw you down into darkness more and more. And the last word is hanta. Brahma says, alas, for this, And everybody is suffering from this, human beings especially, that absorbed in all these material sounds, it keeps us bound. So when we're fortunate enough to come in touch with a source of true spiritual sound, such as the pure devotee, this is the key. And books, in this page especially, books which are pure, which are actually revealed scripture, as it is. Then there's a war going on between our interest in the spiritual sounds and the things that follow from it and the pure Krishna Katha. And so the more that we can absorb ourselves, that's what these classes are for. That's why Prabhupada is so insistent. It all begins with Hari Kirtan, the holy name. That's the essence. It's the beginning and middle and end, ultimately. Pure spiritual sound, vibrated by devotees, especially pure devotees, has tremendous power, right? And then when it comes time to, that's beyond the intelligence, it's beyond the mind, it's just hear and absorb. There's so many things we could say about it. But then to support your interest and your determination in spiritual life, we need to hear the pure spiritual sound, the Bhagavatam. So part of it is this incredible allegory. Now, the breast of a young woman. So representing attachment or attraction and repulsion. Now, I was reminded when I was reading this of Prabhupada's explanation of that, that ever a recurring question: how did we get here? If we were in bliss in the spiritual world, why did we ever leave? Who would ever leave? And Prabhupada was asked this question numerous times in letters and in classes, and he would always give the same answer. And that is that each one of us has minute independence. Krishna has infinite independence. That's why he's God. He can do anything he wants, anytime he wants. We can't, but he gives us a minute independence so that we can freely give our love to him. Otherwise, there's no meaning to love. You see? We just be dead stones. So he expands, right, Eko Bahusyam, into infinite beings, both plenary expansions, and he's got the energies, and we're one of the energies, marginal energy. But we have that freedom to withhold our love. Otherwise it has no meaning. So Prabhupada would quote this verse from Bhagavad Gita near the end of the 7th chapter. Itcha dvesha samutena dvandva mohena bharata sarvabhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. The last line literally means, can be taken to mean, becomes into this creation. In other words, here's how we came in. Prabhupada would use this word. So the Itcha Dvesha is precisely this Raga Dvesha. The word Dvesha is used here in the first beginning of the purport. So Itcha Dvesha Samutena, arising from this Itcha Dvesha, we have some freedom about what we'll desire, and we can desire Krishna and stay in the spiritual world, and most of the living entities never come here, but we made the mistake of desiring separate sense gratification and being repulsed or envious of Krishna and not wanting to serve him. From that arises this sense of this the illusion of duality, which is only in the material world. Itcha dvesha samutena dvandva mohena bharata, and bewildered by this, good and bad, hot and cold, she loves me, she doesn't, she loves me not, all of that is what brings us into Sarge Yanti Parandava, brings us here and keeps us here. So, what to do with it? How to get out? Prabhupada uses the word. What's the word? Transubstantiate. He uses the word here. One can use transfigure in the last paragraph here, which is interesting. I don't remember. That's a rare word for Prabhupada. They can be transfigured. This exactly, to me, means sublimated. The word sublimated, which is a psychological term, and I kind of stretch the meaning, but I think it's perfect for us. We have to grab that word and expand the meaning. Sublimate means, exactly as Prabhupada describes, lust. You have desire. You can't kill it. That's impersonalism. We're going to kill all our desires, all our activities, all our thoughts, and just be, float along in this sensory deprivation, place called Brahman, forever, and we'll be happy. No more birth, no more death, no more disease, no more old age. No. But you can't be happy with no, In other words, it gets boring, up there. Just now I'm finally free from birth. Okay, what's there to do? Nothing. So they fall down again. Ahura kuchena param patantyadho. And that is a verse in the 10th canto like that. Prabhupada would always quote. So you can't kill activities, kill desire. You have to purify it. The word purify or sublimate it. In other words, make it sublime by linking it up to Krishna. And Prabhupada gives some samples, some examples here. Just as the karmis work to satisfy Krishna. So they're desiring to do a kind of work. You can do work, all kinds of work, under the guidance of spiritual authorities for Krishna. And you can become very anxious to do that work, very eager to do it. But the whole idea, it's for Krishna, and therefore it's purifying. Your desire is becoming purified. And anger also. Because, especially in this material world, there are enemies of Krishna, there are demons. It's sometimes necessary to show anger for Krishna. And the examples give Hanuman. He also give the example of Arjuna. He had to be angry to fight. He wasn't angry. He was in great distress and depression because he felt, I'm going to kill my worshipable guru, my teacher, Dronacharya, and the grandfather Bhishma, and all these friends and relatives. And even most amazingly, he said, I can't even stand to think of, I won't be able to live without the sons of Dhritarashtra, who are trying to kill the Pandavas. He tried to burn them alive. And yet he's so kind and forgiving. It's almost like, Putana, how Krishna forgave Putana. So this is Arjuna, soft-hearted, compassionate devotee. He wants to just, I don't know what to do. I'll just go and beg, But that was Maya for him. That was Maya. And the Gita was spoken to bring him out of that, so that he would transcend this material attachment to the bodies of his worshipful guru and teacher and grandfather and the others, and realize that his success, everything would be if he just followed Krishna's orders, followed Krishna's desire. And he used his skill, his anger and his skill as a Kshatriya to serve Krishna's purpose. So that's how we can transcend it. And most importantly, this idea of love, it's so misused in this, probably there's no love in the material world. There's only lust, varieties of love. Because there may be some, but then he would say, but the mother's love for the child, is the closest thing. Because it's completely selfless. But like this, sexual love, there's always a very strong personal component to it. There may be some caring for the other person, but it has, and it can easily be broken. The whole thing can be broken. So this keeps us bound here. So how to transform that? That's where the whole process of Krishna consciousness comes in. The chanting of the holy name. The main thing is we have to understand we have that already. That this lust is simply love of Godhead, prema, that's been transformed, contaminated by touch with the modes of nature. It's very nicely described at the end of the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He says this kama is prema that has been curdled, by coming kind of with the modes of nature. And he says once that happens, it's very difficult to get back to prema. But it is possible, by the process of bhakti, especially if you begin at a young age. And, that's not always possible. But Krishna consciousness, as taught by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is so powerful that anyone at any age, that's why we have these verses, Kirato Hunana Polinda Pokrasha Abhirashamba Javanakasharya. These are a list of outcasts. They're outside of the Vedic culture. They're different parts of the world. There's the Mongolians, the Hunas or the Huns, the Germans. There's a list there. And he said, but it doesn't matter. And others who may be completely, corrupted by their life in this world. If they take shelter of one who's taken shelter of Krishna, in other words, if they come into Krishna consciousness, they can also be purified. And Prabhupada showed that. This was one of the verses that inspired him to go all over the world. Africa? Yeah, he went to Africa. Went to Kenya. There are so many blissful devotees. You ever see some of the kirtans, and the wonderful centers and devotees in Africa. I just got a letter, email from Brijbasi. Remember Brijbasi? Many of you weren't here. You know Brijbasi. He was the head Bajari here for, 7 years or so? A long time. And eventually he went back, and he wanted me to give a lecture on Janmashtami there, through the Zoom. And at first I said yes, because it would be like at 2 o'clock here, and then I would give the lecture. That's not a big deal, on Janmashtami. Things really get going later. But then I looked it up on the calendar. Their Janmashtami is a day later. That often happens, I said, oh no, there's no way I can give a lecture at 2 o'clock on Vyasa Puja. I stay up all, half the night, and then I always take rest and then come to Mangalartik the next day. There's usually only a few of us. And then, running reading the offerings and everything, the kirtan, and then by 2 o'clock I need to crash. And there's no way I can then give a nice talk. But there, it's flourishing there, and in South Africa, the movement is flourishing all over. So, what to speak of other places? And just as crazy as West coming to New York, but Prabhupada had faith in the purification process. So I wanted to, because one of the main ways, this is one more verse I'll share with you, because this is it's Krishna Leela. We're going to hear a little bit now. And tomorrow is, a wonderful day of remembering Krishna's appearance, how merciful he is, and, hearing some of his pastimes, especially childhood pastimes. And that is the means of sublimating this desire. Hearing the holy name, hearing and chanting the pastimes, and some of those pastimes are the creation, how he's the Lord of everything, and all that is important. But that not just hearing, hearing and seeing the beauty of the deity and and plays. Remember, you used to the plays, the paintings, every sense. The cooking, making all the prasadam so attractive. Your contact in Krishna is purifying that way. That has to be purified, very important. So all the senses are drawn to Krishna. The attractiveness of Krishna, that's why he's called Krishna. And that's the more that we're willing and determined to keep ourselves in the fire, I'd probably call it, of Krishna consciousness, by hearing, chanting, serving, sacrificing, associating with, and all, seeing what we see, what we hear, what we taste, everything. Then the sublimation will take place. And we'll find ourselves so attracted to Krishna that we'll be much less attracted to Maya, including the opposite sex, which is the main attraction. So, yes, there's one other verse, which, this is a verse I memorized so many years ago, and then it kind of goes into the swamp, and you forget about it. But I was speaking to one devotee in Columbus, because I also give some classes there. I visit there often. Very nice young devotee, grew up in a devotee family. His name is Hari. And I would say, not Hari, but Hari Das, He's in college now. But he's totally into shlokas, And he said, so I was talking with him, and he said, thank you for sharing this verse with me years ago, which I had forgotten. The end of a chapter in the 12th canto. 12th canto, it's all about different kinds of devastations. When the main devastation, the temporary devastation, your own death is a devastation, one of them. And then at the end, after kind of this sobering chapter, wow, everything's getting destroyed. It says, here's how to cross over this ocean of birth and death, which is full of all of this pain. And it has to do with Krishna Lila. It says, Sangsara Sindhum Ati Dushtanam Utti Tirshor Nanyak Plavo Bhagavatak Purushottamasya Lila Katara Sanishevanam Antarena Pungso Bhaved Vivida Dukkha Lavadi Dasya. So, Dava means forest, it means fire, And he's saying at the end there that Vivida Dukkha, so many varieties of sufferings here, like burning in a forest fire, But he begins the verse describing about the ocean of samsara. So in the same verse, he's using both the analogy of the ocean and the forest fire that we're burning, that we have to cross over. So he's saying that for those who are very eager to cross over this ocean of samsara, which is sangsara siddham ati dustaram, which is very difficult to cross over. There's no other boat. There's no nanyak plavo bhagavatak purushottamasya than cultivating a taste for hearing the katha, the description of Krishna's lila. Lila katha rasa nishevanam. Developing the rasa, the taste for lila katha. For who? Pungso bhaved. For the human beings who are suffering varieties of all suffering in this burning fire. So let us cultivate some of that. That's Prabhupada poured it out. The Krishna book is full, and there's so many things. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar Devotion, all his books. So if there are any comments or questions, I can try to answer them on these points. Otherwise, let's do it. Go ahead, Prabhu. Oh, the mic. Yeah, but that's kind of missing Jamal.
Yeah, the use of the word to transform or change. I got the wrong one. Where'd it go?
24?
Yeah, to transform out. Dang it.
Transfigure?
Yeah, to give a new and typically exalted or spiritual appearance. So there's it's actually very good word.
Perfect word for us. Yeah. There's so many words like that. Do you know that there's a word called ecstasize? It's not a common word. I discovered it years ago. It's like it means to go into ecstasy or put others into ecstasy. Do we need that word or not? You read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the back of every page, Lord Chaitanya is exercising others, or he's just exercising. There's several words like that which I'm trying to popularize. Okay. So, here's my little effort to cultivate a taste Oh yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you. So you were stressing the importance of hearing transcendental vibrations, and so I'm wondering, there's like certain artists that some musicians that devotees may listen to, especially those of us living outside of the temple, and a particular artist may have some songs that are very God conscious, but not all of them are. So if I'm just listening to the God conscious ones, is it still, because I understand it's not transcendental glorification, but does it still have the negative effect of listening to a mundane person speaking, even though in that instance, that song, it's more or less
okay, I gather these aren't like initiated devotees singing.
No, like Bob Marley or something like that.
Yeah. There's a verse. There's always a verse. Avaishnavo mukodgyanam putam hadikatamitam shavanam naivatkartavyam sarpochistam yatapayaha. You may have heard this verse in the English part. So, from the mouth of a Vaishnav, a non-Vaishnav, one should never hear Harikatha, which is known to be nectarian, and because it's just like milk, which is so nourishing, touched by the lips of a serpent. In other words, why use this analogy? Because it seems like it could be uplifting, just like you're describing, but unless it's vibrated, I mean, this is even like, Leela about Krishna, but to speak of things that are peripheral about God. It said, don't listen to it, because it's poisonous. It will not have the same effect of when given by a real devotee, what to speak of a pure devotee. So I would advise you to not hear that, listen to that. I don't want to run out of time, Prabhu, so we can discuss it later. All right, if you allow me, this is a verse from the beginning of a poem by Rupa Goswami called Leela Chanda, which is a summary of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. So I'm gonna quick speed things up a little. If there's a Sanskrit, I'll just give you the first line. You get a taste of it. Mulot kata vadayani bhavatador krishnanya tishnakshayat. Is a prayer here. Words that tell of your glorious deeds are a river of nectar, O Lord of my heart. And from those who drink deep at that river, desires for other words quickly depart. Sages they are, chakravaka birds playing, those who drink at the river of talks about you, uprooting the huge tree of death and rebirth, that river their faith ever freshens anew. Waves churn that river, exchanges of love as you sport with your dear ones, your pure devotees, bubbling and rippling and murmuring sweetly. That stream delights all with divine melodies. O Krishna, O fount of sweet nectarous pastimes, O you whose great deeds should be heard and then sung, may the river of poetry limning your glories flow into my heart and then over my tongue. And sorry, I've indicated some words here that I should tell you before I do the English. Lim, L-I-M-N, not L-I-M-B. Lim means to describe, L-I-M-N. It comes like from the word illumin or something like that. So I use words like that so they fit. And so I'm going to, future verses here that we get, I'll give you the words before I give you the poem. Okay, so he's praying there, and then, of course, then the whole thing starts, and he describes Krishna's Leela in the most beautiful way, which I can have. If you want, I can give it to you. All right, so I worked this out. Let's see. Okay, so now the child's crawling. Krishna's crawling. This is a verse from Bilvamangal Thakur, Krishna Karnamrita number 2. You may have not known that he wrote several Krishna Karnamritas, or that there are several that are attributed to him anyway. The one that Lord Chaitanya brought back is the one, that's the one but this is Kinkini kinkana rabasa rangana bhavadinkana sadartantam kunkuna kunkuna padiyukadam kankana bhushadim hidim vande. I bow to Hari, whose waist bells tinkle as he crawls in his father's yard. His bangles and ankle bells softly jingle as he melts Vrindavan's heart. That's the meditation on Krishna crawling. Here's one where he's running from his mother. This is Kartik. Sambade sudabhina mamba maya santam aya sayantamanayantim lambalakam avalambe tambalam tunabadagna jambalam. Which means, his mother grows tired while chasing her son as he runs among the cows. I ever take shelter of Nanda's boy who's muddy from the pasture's ground. And what I didn't get into the poem is that he has this his hair is completely untied and is hanging down to his waist practically. He's running when he went. Okay, moving along. What age? Well, when did he run from his mother? 5 years old? I'm sorry. You probably know more precisely.
No, I generally his hair that long is a later age.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long it is, but it's not tied. It's long. Okay. And here's some more. So there's some you may have heard before, but here they are. We'll start with this. I don't think there's any weird words in this one. With lovely peacock plume upon his head, and fragrant flower placed upon each ear, he enters Braja's woods with graceful tread, a handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his luscious lips the nectar flows and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with cowherd friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way with fine impressions of his lotus feet. So that's the first one, and there's three in order. So what happens next? They break free. Now some of you have seen these paintings. So the cowards now, boys, they're free, and Krishna and Balaram start to run, and their friends are behind them. So they're very exuberant out in the forest. So the painting is Krishna and Balaram running along the Yamuna, the boys and the cows running behind him and next to him. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their coward friends who called, "Oh Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun." And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts. A haunt is like a little secret place to play. Sorry, I should. And off they ran to, and sword. Not sword, but sword. A sword is a meadow. S-W-A-R-D. All right, I'm sorry. And off they went to Braja's forest haunts to play in every bower, grove, and sward. The boys would teach their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, "Let's go, my friends, do not delay at all." It's a good instruction there for us. And then the final in this series is, I think at the beginning, verdant means very lush with vegetation. And a song, a refrain is a song in this context. That can mean song. For Krishna and his multitude of friends, a festival of joy each day would bring. A special thrill in Braja's verdant glens was riding with him high upon a swing. O Ujjvala, Sridhama, Bhadrasena, just see Vrindavan's bountiful delights. The peacock's dance, the songbird's sweet refrain, the lakes and hills and other scenic sights. All these make this the best place on the earth for us to play all day and herd the cows. Thus Krishna, in a mood of sportive mirth, enthused his friends while swinging from the boughs. Hare Krishna. Okay, and now we have a little remembrance of Govardhan Leela. When Krishna stopped King, you've seen the picture, he's holding up the hill, everyone see that? There's many different versions. When Krishna stopped King Indra's sacrifice, that monarch of the heavens threw a fit. Those cowards took that foolish boy's advice. Such insolence I never shall permit. So Indra sent the clouds of devastation to pour down catastrophic hail and rain, with thunderbolts and winds without cessation. The cowards called to Krishna in their pain, to show his coward friends his boundless love, and crush King Indra's pride for his own good. Shri Krishna lifted Govardhan above, and saved his friends while neath the hill they stood. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. And let's see, there's a couple more here. Okay. All right. So this is complaints, the famous complaints. He showed his friends complaining about Krishna was always sneaking in, stealing the butter and the yogurt, making a mess. He showed his friends approached her and complained about her restless son, the butter thief. "Oh friend, this child of yours must be restrained. He simply torments us with no relief. We hope that you will thoroughly chastise this naughty boy who steals and eats our food." But then he looked at them with love-filled eyes, awakening their sweet maternal mood. And so Yashoda and her friends were drowned in waves and whirlpools of maternal love. In all three worlds no greater love is found. Its home is in Goloka, far above. Somebody should make a melody to this. Okay, so now, And of course, the famous one. Oh, God. I'm sorry. I don't think I did the one where she catches Krishna, right? I didn't do that one yet. Yeah. At last, now this is the perfect word for Krishna. I looked it up. Imp. Yes. Someone who, a little boy, who playfully and mischievously, causes mischief in a very playful way. Is that Krishna or not? And then there's the word peak, which is common when I was growing up. In a peak, which exactly describes what Krishna was in, which is that becoming angry because feeling offended. She took him, P-I-Q-U-E. Yeah. At last you showed a quarter naughty child who'd smashed a pot of yogurt in a peak. You know the pastime. She was suckling him, and then she put him aside and became angry, bit his lip, broke the pot. At last you showed a quarter naughty child who'd smashed a pot of yogurt in a peak. Though seemingly annoyed, she felt beguiled by little Krishna's loving charm unique. Oh, imp, I've caught you now, but do not fear. You see, I've thrown the stick upon the floor. But I must bind you with this rope, my dear, lest you increase your mischief more and more. And so Yashoda bound the little son, who hid his glory to evoke her love. The blessings she enjoyed are never won by gods and goddesses who dwell above. And that's also in the Sanskrit, you'll see that. Okay, one or two more here from this section. Okay. The Julanyacha, we just had Julanyacha. Where blooming flowers spread their sweet perfumes, where clear Yamuna flows and songbirds sing, where all the land a lovely light illumes, Shri Radha and Shri Krishna gently swing. This idol, and idol means something that's ideal. This idol of their love in Braja's bowers forever charms their dearest devotees, whose heart Shri Krishna's sweetness overpowers, obscuring his prodigious potencies. Whatever in this world we know as love is just a shadow of the love they feel. The wise aspire to learn the secrets of devotion's path and taste that love ideal. And okay, we have time for just two more little ones. And this one, okay. Okay, I'll leave that one for last. This is the painting which will be in the calendar for 2021. And that is after the rasa dance, Krishna takes the gopis into the Yamuna and they have a splashing contest. So this shows a splashing contest. When Krishna saw his gopis had grown tired from sporting in the rasa dance so long, he took them in the river and inspired a splashing contest with the blissful throng. Though violating mundane moral codes by playing with young girls throughout the night, in truth the highest virtue Krishna showed, for God is not constrained by wrong and right. Chaitanya and his followers declare the gopis love and worship Krishna best. Completely free of lust, they simply care that with his loving service they be blessed. And finally, the sweetness of Shri Krishna's form beguiles. Still sweeter is his face like autumn moon, but sweeter than the sweetest is his smile, whose luscious beauty makes the gopis swoon. Govinda's beauty captivates the doves, the swans, the deer, the cows, and every tree. Indeed, in Braja, every creature loves Shri Krishna and is drowned in ecstasy. That all-enchanting land is paradise, our home where we may dwell eternally. Most welcome there are those who pay the price to learn to love Shri Krishna perfectly. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. If anyone wants these poems, write me an email. Give it to you.